everyone. Thank you so much, Deborah, for organizing this afternoon. I mean, it's like a December day outside, and it's just words that can keep us nice and warm in the company of wonderful people. Thank you so much to Bliss Cafe for actually hosting this event. And yes, as Deborah mentioned, please go out, help yourselves to some good stuff. You know, I almost always read poetry, and at readings or my personal essays. And my first fiction novel comes out next month in a couple of weeks. It's called Perfectly Untraditional. I have this teeny tiny cover thanks to my husband. He pointed it out and he said, "You should take this with you." So thanks for that. And for the first time ever, I'm going to be reading from my upcoming novel. So today is extremely, extremely special for me. Once I've done reading like a few pages on this, I just have two really short, okay, that's redundant, but flash fiction is short. But I have a couple of flash fiction stories that I wanted to share with you. So the title is Perfectly Untraditional, and this is the first page of the novel. And the name of the female protagonist, like the main person, is Shelly Kapoor, and she's a New York-based writer who goes back to India to visit her family. And instead of delving into what it is about, as I read on, you'll figure out what the book is about. So, I hope so. While standing outside the car at Pashon Lake in Pune, India, Shelly Kapoor kept staring at the mystical, unrelenting rain, imbuing her non-conformist choices. Leafing through memories and ripping out the mirage of perfect relationships from the inner layers of her belief, she conceded that the human heart was preordained to tell lies, sometimes to protect itself, and at other times to shield the people it loved. Shelly believed today was the day she had to make amends. It wouldn't be an easy task, given her unpleasant past with her father, Suresh Kapoor. But it seemed the rain had washed away the entire animals. Or maybe it was the fear of losing the only family member who was still alive and mattered. If Suresh Kapoor, after knowing the truth about his wife, Meena Kapoor, had somewhere in his heart forgiven her, Shelly too had to set things right. She owed it to him and her mother. Shelly, with long sculpted fingers and feistiness of a solitary hunter, held Suresh Kapoor's arm and pulled at it, signaling him to step out of the car. At 37, she looked splendid, and turned heads wherever she went. She looked not a day older than 25, squat, svelte, fair-skinned with envious legs. In another life, Shelly could have been a supermodel. Suresh Kapoor's heavy lids, hidden behind his thick-rimmed glasses, looked perplexed, but he stepped out. For the first time in his life, he listened to Shelly without being at loggerheads with her. It didn't go unnoticed by the two women sitting in the car. Shelly's gregarious best friend from her childhood, her unshakable pillar of strength, Supriya Matre, and a Persian-American friend, Leila Makmalbaf, who was visiting from New York City. The father duo looked intently at each other. The uneasiness between them was inarticulated, but discernible. "How come you're here? I'm surprised to see you." The loneliness combined with stubborn pride was obvious in Suresh Kapoor's voice. Those were his first words all day. When the women had arrived at his house, Suresh Kapoor, a grimacer, was sitting by himself on the rocking chair with his palms, reflective of adversity, tightly pressed together as if latched onto a secret. He didn't hold mediocrity any better than most 60-plus men. His face was slightly scarred by smallpox and the games of fate. Clad in a pair of white, spotless kurta pajama, he looked like he was in exile in his own house. Shelly hadn't seen him since her own marriage ages ago, and she couldn't remember the last time she saw him without a glass of liquor, ever. Even after these years, they didn't talk. Not even a hug. His conduct was almost foreseeable, like she'd never left Pune, and so was hers. He was exultant to see Sherry, but his ego didn't allow him to express elation. Sherry realized in an instant that she had inherited her pride from him. She stared into Suresh Kapoor's eyes like a child seeking acquiescence while owning up to something sacred. But he could not bear to look back at her. Sherry had started to walk towards the door, and like a stray which had found a new home, Suresh Kapoor had staggered behind her, or at least it had seemed that way. And then yada 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 stuff goes on, and I read on more, we find out what really happens in the novel. So I'll skip on to this other paragraph. Yes, so people, please remember, the marketeer in me says perfectly untraditional. So this is this place, Pashan Lake, which is integral to the book. This is where, there's some secrets about which Sherry, this protagonist, and her father, who's the male protagonist. This is where, then what happens to the relationship? Why is it, that they are at like this, there's this sort of turf war and animosity, and all of those secrets, and this mother whom Sherry grew up to revere, all of those secrets are here at Pashan Lake. So this is where all of them, the two friends, Leila and Supriya, and Shelly and her dad, they reach Pashan Lake and so forth. Upon reaching Pashan Lake, Sherry had asked Leila and Supriya to wait inside the car. The day seemed ideal for conversations. There was the possibility that the rain would drown whatever was meant to go unheard. Supriya felt nervous. She knew the complexity of dealing with temperamental Suresh Kapoor, and she couldn't deny that Sherry could be overly sensitive too. But shockingly, for the first time, Supriya seemed unaware of what Sherry had in mind, which made her anxious. But she clearly understood Sherry wouldn't appreciate any intrusion. Not today. Leila hadn't questioned Sherry's actions all along. She understood instinctively that with two extremely emotional people traversing through nostalgia, overwhelming challenges would surface. She could foresee a verbal bloodbath ensuing between Suresh Kapoor and Sherry once they started discussing each other's unusual social choices. But she didn't lend unsolicited advice. Leila could be a persuasive talker, but if she believed it wasn't her place to interfere, she could sit as mute as a cadaver. She wasn't austere or rude, just slightly aloof, with impressively modest, deep-set eyes. When Sherry pulled Suresh Kapoor's arm, Supriya immediately understood why Sherry had insisted on making the diversion. It was Meena Kapoor's final resting place, and Meena Kapoor is the mother. Not just that, Pashan Lake was the epicenter of the Kapoor household. It had played a vital role in how the lives of the Kapoor family members had turned out. Supriya knew Sherry was at Pashan Lake with her father to bury skeletons of yesterday and consider new beginnings. A cool breeze nudged her heart. She felt hopeful for her friend. She had folded her palms and thanked the pale sky. Leila had said 8 syllables to Supriya. No wonder Sherry arose.